Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Hafiz bin Mohsin Mullah. My metric number is GS50049. And I'm going to present my progress report for dissertation subject ECH5990. My topic is consequence modeling of potential major hazard accident of chlorine gas leakage in water treatment plant. This is my table of content. And for the introduction, most of the human activity involve risk. Risk seems to a part of us, and first analysis risk could be defined as situation that involve an exposure to danger or the possibility of something unwanted to happen. The great quantity of highly toxic product deemed to be stored and handled with recent market demand. At storage facility, leakage is very often can lead to fire and explosive, especially when mixture with some organic and inorganic substance. Many accidents have occurred in chemical storage sites during the past few years, with the considerable consequent neighboring population, as mentioned in Dogres 1993 and Christo 1999. For example, in Malaysia, on 25th December 1997, more than 12 people are injured at Shell Bintulu, Sarawak, where explosion on an air separation unit generated gases of oxygen. And there is one study about the five most deadliest chemical weapons used in war. They are VX, sarin, mustard gas, phosgene, and chlorine. And the other study was top five chemical accident industry related. And the both study mentioned that only chlorine suit for the both situation. That means chlorine is very dangerous. And this is chlorine related accident. I have listed down in the table some accident related throughout the world. And recently, there are 150,000 people were evacuated due to chlorine leakage accident on 16 April 2004 in Tinyuan Chemical Plant. And in Malaysia, Tanjung Kudang Water Treatment Plant, Kuala Kerai, Kelantan on 4th July 1997, chlorine gas leaked from one of the cylinder inside the chlorine room. It was observed that the leak only caused by 1 to 2 mm hole, but that more than 79 people were examined at local hospital for respiratory distress. Every year, approximately 13.6 million tons of chlorine are produced in North America. And there are increased usage of chlorine in Malaysia. In Selangor itself, there are about 17,962 tons of chlorine being stored in 2015. This data was extracted from Chemical Information Management System SIM DOSH. The most common usage of chlorine is in water treatment industry. In Malaysia, all water treatment use chlorine as water disinfection. Chlorine is one of the controlled substances under Occupational Safety and Health, Control of Industrial Major Accident and Regulation 1996. Threshold limit of chlorine storage at site is 10 ton. Thus, the need to undertake this study involving a thorough consequent analysis to mitigate potential major hazard accident at water treatment that very close to government administrative office and residential area that kept more than 60 ton of chlorine is very important. This process shows the typical process in water treatment plant. The red arrow shows that where chlorine being used. The first stage is pre-chlorinification and the second stage is post-chlorinification. And approximately 2 tons of chlorine being used every day. The usage of chlorine depends on the water quality. More water polluted, more chlorine being used. Chlorine have to be kept at large amount due to water demand and water condition. On some of the literature review done by other researchers. The first one is accidental release chlorine from storage facility and on-site emergency smoke drill as a case study. The variable used in this study is accidental cylindrical tank of capacity 50 ton. The internal pressure is about 3 kg per centimeter square. The chlorine phase is liquid. The stability atmosphere category F in urban condition is being considered. The chlorine discharge is from 16 millimeter diameter pipe. The wind speed is 3 meter per second. The release height is 1.55 meter. The probit equation being used to estimate the fatality for the various accident scenario. And the same researcher done a previous research where three phases of chlorine were studied. It shows that the liquid phase is the worst case scenario. And the second study is consequent modeling of chlorine release from water treatment in 2014. Same variable being used but different value. For example, the stability category is C, E, and D will choose for this study, and the chlorine discharge occurring from 5 millimeter, 25 millimeter, and whole total rupture. And the wind speed is for C is for 8 meter per second, D 16 meter per second, and F is 1.5 meter per second. And it shows that stability category F is the worst case scenario. And for the both research, fast software have been used to simulate and model the accident scenario. The other two research is modeling and assessing risk analysis of chlorine gas in water treatment plant in 2012, where the variable is the internal pressure is about 7 bar and the chlorine phase is liquid gas only. Then stability category is E in urban condition being considered. The chlorine discharge is from 25 millimeter diameter. The wind speed is 1 meter per second. Release height 1 meter. And for the result is the concentration of top chlorine at 1 kilometer is about 20 ppm. 3.4 kilometer is 2 ppm, and 4.5 kilometer radius is 0.5 ppm. And Aloha being used to stimulate and model for that study. And the last one is offsite consequent analysis of liquefied chlorine gas, where this is happened in Malaysia, where the variable used is the release rate is 93 kg per minute. This is a worst case scenario based on EPA guideline. And the chlorine phase is gas, the stability be at flat grass and rural setting. And the wind speed is about 0.3 meter per second, 0.9 meter per second, and 1.5 meter per second prevailing wind. And the release height is 0.5. And Aloha has been used to stimulate the model accident scenario. And it shows that maximum chlorine release can extend up to 9 kilometer with 3 ppm at 1.5 meter per second. This is a table taken from Suruhanjaya Perkhidmatan Air Negara. It shows that there are 500 water treatment plant in 2015 and 2016. And in Selangor itself, there are 34 water treatment plant. And the research problem, it shows that there are increment of accident related to hazmat. There are 25% increment from 2015 to 2016. This statistic is taken from Bomba 2016 annual report. There are so much evidence of worst case accident in process safety happen in chemical and petrochemical plants due to the intrinsic dangerous of the hazardous substance process and those installation. And from Scientific American 2011, it mentioned that chlorine accident takes a big human toll. And from Water World Journal in 2018, routine testing of emergency shut-off for chlorine tank containers paid off recent for a Southern California water treatment plant when newly installed container begin to leak. And from UK HSC 2000, it mentioned that approximately 60% of major hazard loss of containment incident are related to technical integrity. And for research gap, most of the study done in Malaysia related to chlorine water treatment plant are at rural area and not covered urban and city center. And up to current date, there are no study done on consequence modeling for dispersion at Sungai Semeh water treatment using FAST. And this study will focus on consequence modeling of potential accident based on worst case scenario. The worst case scenario for dispersion modeling has been defined as Pascual Gifford atmospheric stability class F, as mentioned at Woodward in 1998 and Crawlover in 2002. Problem statement. There are many identified issues and problems related to chlorine storage in water treatment plant. However, in Malaysia, there is no worst case scenario study that has been done. The dispersion of chlorine leakage depends on many factors, which include tall building, channeling clouds, geographical terrain, and use of liquid chlorine at chemical processing facility has a potential of an unintended large release involving equipment such as tank, valve, and pipelines, which may result in harmful health effect. So it is very important to study the consequence and impact of such major hazard event, and it is important to understand the mechanism of accident to develop the accident prevention strategy. Research question and objective. The first research question is, what is the potential of accident scenario that could happen in chlorine storage? And the objective is to identify the worst potential accident scenario at chlorine storage. And the second research question is how far will the leakage affect the neighborhood? And the objective is to predict the consequent radius in event of leakage. Reaches, research scope. The scope of this project is limited to storage of chlorine using portable horizontal drum and the chlorine used in water treatment plant. And the water treatment plant is located at Precinct 19 Putrajaya. Research methodology. The first research question objective will be use data collection at site observation and primary data. And hazard register is used to be tool to analyze the research objective. And the second research objective, the descriptive data will be used and the tools is fast to analyze the consequent modeling. And the approach is a single case study at Sungai Semenyih Water Treatment Plant. This is an overview of my research flowchart. Currently, I am at the data collection status, where some of the data at the site will be used to do the hazard register from the hazard identification. This will fulfill my first objective. And for the selection of release accident, probability of failure will be used data from historical data from UK, HSC, and TNO 1990. This is also my limitation as there is no historical data for Malaysia. And for source model, event tree analysis and fault tree analysis will be used and data from guideline from chemical process quantitative risk analysis study 1989 will be used. And from the hazardous event tree analysis, the dispersion model will be considered to use data from Malaysian Meteorological Department 2018. And from all the data will key in inside the fast and to do the consequence modeling. And this also will fulfill my second objective. And from data analysis, some recommendation will be considered to do the framework for the guideline of chlorine storage. Research significance. Create awareness to the plant management to improve the information to public based on worst case scenario incident. To give some control to local authority to control nearby development and to propose crucial information for future framework for guideline or ICOP of chlorine storage. Last but not least, this study can be beneficial to understand the significant element for incorporation of into off-site emergency management plan. This plan can serve as handy reference to various responsive agencies. And this is my case study area. It's very near to the government administrative building and also some residential area. For my research progress, I have collected some from material safety data sheet of chlorine from the supplier, CCM Chemical Sdn Bhd. And for the wind direction, I have collected the data from the Malaysian Meteorological Department. From the wind rose profile above, it can be concluded that 14% of wind is blowing from north and northeast, and while 13% is blowing from south and southeast. For the throughout the year 2004 to 2014, with the average mean speed is 1.8 meter per second. The blue region in the windrows above represent the sector of the average speed population. And the percentage of calm wind is also recorded as 10% of overall wind. So I will consider to do the consequence analysis for the both direction, northeast, and southeast for my study. And of course, I will use the latest edition of the data in 2018 as my reference. Data collection at the site visit. Two site visits have been conducted. One in 14 March 2000 and 16 April in 2018. And observation at the chlorine storage and chlorine process area have been conducted, and I have been list down the activity that can cause potential incident to the major hazard accident. And for the next stage is all the activity or event of potential incident will be completed in the hazard register. This is my future work. And for the timeline, Alhamdulillah, so far so good. Everything is keep on track. Hopefully, I can finish this study before the deadline. And this is all my reference. And I conclude my presentation with thank you. I hope I can get feedback from you guys. Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah.